guys, and welcome back here to the Dev Realm, and today we're gonna talk about blueprints. So as part of this series called Absolute Beginners in the channel, I'm gonna present to you a couple of very basic concepts of blueprints. So if you're a very you just start with a Vim engine, you don't know what you're doing or how to get things started, I really recommend you to watch this series. So I see you guys in the video. And now I'm gonna explain you how you can create blueprints, right? So I'm just gonna delete this for now, and basically blueprints are everything that your player can, is the place where you store your game logic. For example, if I go to content here, I go to third person, but if you go to blueprints here, you should see the third person character, okay? So if I open up that, I have my player. So you can see that I got my player, I got a camera that's following the player, I got some basic logic in here, controls the camera, add the input mapping, the movement and things like that. One thing here, for example, if you want to do something crazy, I don't know, let's say we want to add a sphere here. I'm gonna add a sphere to this. I am gonna disable the collision, so I'm gonna say that this thing doesn't have no collision, just so it doesn't bump to my player. If I press play, now my player should have a bubble head or some just weird layout here. As you can see here, is not following the character skeleton, but it's just a way to explain how this blueprint stuff work. Right, so now that you know what's a blueprint, now let's explain types of blueprints and try to keep this video a bit short as well. Right, so I'm gonna open up here I'm just gonna go to content, and how you can create blueprints is really easy. So you right click in here and you have blueprint class, right? So if you press blueprint class, in here we have different types of blueprint, right? And the first type of blueprint, you have some very brief explanation here. What's the actor? But basically, actor is everything that your player will interact with. So for example, your player wanna grab a sword, so the sword will be actor. If your player wanna shoot a projectile or something like this, there will be also actor that have some logic on it. Palm, basically palm is something that the player can possess. Let's say you're creating a multiplayer game, your character died, but he can control another character. That character needs to be extended from palm, right? A character is something that can walk. So your player is a character, AI is a character. And here's where things get a little bit more complicated, but player controller basically is the logic that you're gonna use for your player. And then you got the game mode base. Basically, this is the game mode you are on. Let's say you're creating some kind of a screen selection. You're gonna have a game mode selection, and then you're gonna have the normal game mode, is where you play the character or something. Actor component, this is really cool. This is something that you can attach to an actor that can be reusable. For example, you're trying to create an inventory system. You probably would create all your logic in the actor component, and then you would attach the actor component to an actor or to your player or to any actual blueprint. So automatic, that blueprint would have all your logic for your inventory on it. And then the scene component is just something that can be attached to the scene. So sometimes you need some specific logic piece of work for the scene. This, I don't use this very much, but you can do something where, I don't know, the character gets to a certain point of your scenario, and then you want to open a wall or a secret passage like Dark Souls or something like this. You could use this to do it. All the blueprints are very the same. I'm going to go through that as well. And let's create here a very basic actor that we can print some text to the screen. Right. So let's go ahead here. Let's create an actor. Usually, Unreal Engine just called new blueprint, but the right way of calling this is just called BP capital letters dash what is your blueprint. So in this case here is let's say spawn text. Cool. So I'm gonna get this blueprint I'm gonna add to the game, and as you can see here right now, we got nothing. So I'm gonna add a cube in this that you can see, and then once the player interact with this, it will display some text in the screen, right? So let's do this. So first thing here, let's open up on that. As you can see, there's nothing on it, so I'm gonna add here a very simple box collision. Okay, and then in the box collision, I'm gonna click on the box collision. I'm gonna search for a property called hidden in game. I'm gonna uncheck this. This is so the player can see the box. Okay, and right now I'm gonna press R. I'm gonna use the scale just to scale this a little bit. You can also as well increase the box extend here. So if I pull, I think this is easy, something like that. Just change to 100, just so we can see in the game. So if I compile and save, go back to the scene, I should be able to see our box here, right? Now, let me press play here. So one trick I want to show you here as well, if you want to play where's the camera location is, it's really simple. Just right click that, go select this option, current camera location, press play, and there you go. So your player plays from the position where is your camera. Right now, our cube is not doing anything. So what I'm going to do here is when the player enters the cube, is going to trigger something like a very debug text, something very simple. So if I select the box here, I'm going to go to the on component begin overlap, because this is when the first time the player enters the component. You also have the same thing, but when you get out. So we're going to create one when it goes in and when it goes out, right? So I'm gonna create this, and also I'm gonna select the box again, and I'm gonna click on this as well, the plus button there, right? So you can see here that right now we are in the blueprint view. So if, for example, if you close all those windows in there, you don't have access, or somehow you close this, don't worry, just right click on the event graph and you should be back to this with no problem. So I'm gonna compile and save here, okay? And the thing I want to do right now is basically I want to show here the actor. I want to make sure is a valid player. If he's a valid player, we're going to show some information. So there's many ways you can do this. This is not the best optimized version to do for a game, but it's the most common to do, which is called casting. So what we're doing here is basically casting the object to a valid player that we can use to interact with this object. So the way we do this is you select from here, you're gonna cast to BP third person character, okay? And right now, if this is valid, so if we basically have two nodes in here. One if something goes wrong, and one if something successfully happened. So in this case here, I'm going to create a print. I'm going to print a string, and I am going to print the character name, right? So I'm going to compile and save, press play, and in here, if you notice to this part in here, you should have like some text coming up. You see that? Cool, that's working fine. So let's create a better text. Let's use now the append node here, right? And once again, just keeping short, but let's make sure that we create a message, something like hello player name, and then by player name after. So I'm gonna create something called append. I'm gonna append a string to text. This in normal programming language is called concat, or concatenate two strings. And I'm gonna call something, I'm gonna say something welcome. I'm gonna put a space in there, and I'm gonna put the player name here, right? Compile and save. And here we go, right? So we have the welcome, blah, 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 and get on. And then what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna copy this, paste, so I don't have to do that thing again. I'm gonna connect those two here. We wanna connect to the other actor. So just to give you some context, the overlap component is when you have a component attached to your actor. The other components, this is just a primitive component, so normally you don't use this very much for triggers, but the one you want to use right now, or pretty much that you will always want to use, is the other actor that it has the reference of everything, right? And then in here, we're just gonna do something like bye, or see you, something like that. Compile and save, press play, and here we go. Okay, so you say welcome and then see you, and then in here you can change, you know, the colors and things like this, but that's more up to you. So that's everything for this tutorial, guys. I hope you enjoy it. It's a very basic, just how you can get started with blueprints, and see you guys in the next tutorial.